What do you know about China?
Well,
Coach?
Peter Kiernan gave a fascinating description of the president of China. Does the president of the United States know as much about him as you do? Does he know the survivor that he is?
He's a survivor. He's also an interesting guy. For instance, he got divorced and sort of got off track on his career, and he decided to marry a woman who was much more famous than he was, the most famous folk singer in all of China. So that would be like Mitt Romney losing the election and then marrying Dolly Parton. He basically married someone exceptionally well known. Quite a couple, huh?
Quite a picture.
Anyway, she got him back on track. He got his career back on track. And I'll tell you one other thing about this guy that's interesting. When he came to the United States, you know, these guys normally want to get a tour of New York and all the fancy places. He said, I want to go live on an Iowa hog farm. And so he spent time, not at a photo op, he lived on the farm with those Iowa hog farmers. He wanted to understand how those men and women live their lives. Wow. So 3 years ago, after he's president, he comes back and he meets, of course, with Obama. He has an extra day in his calendar. What does this man do?
Goes to the hog farm?
He goes back to Iowa to the hog farm. This is a good guy. You can relate to him. There's a real human being in there, not a faceless bureaucrat.
Wait, Peter Kiernan, he's a good guy, he's a great guy.
He's a great leader.
He runs the most progressive government in the West, in the world.
He's a total dictator who was rearming the South Pacific.
He is a guy we can work with. What I'm saying is we've had faceless bureaucrats in the Chinese.
Is he going to help us with North Korea?
Here's the thing.
Before we get nuked.
Good question.
Here's the thing. I think that the example I use is I think that North Korea is like Fredo's wife in The Godfather, right? So Fredo's wife gets drunk, and somebody goes to Fredo, which is China in this case, if you don't do something about her, we're going to step in. We have to push. Now, I interviewed one time Henry Kissinger about this, and he said, you know, in his whole history, China has never, ever turned its back on an ally. So building our strategy on having China turn its back on North Korea is a mistake. I think we can provide some cover so they will give some strong sanctions to North Korea. That could come out this weekend, but we're going to have to give something to China in order to get that.
Fredo's wife with thousands of artillery pieces that all could reach Seoul, and within a minute, wipe it out.
Okay, let's not freak out, because if you look at what happened, they flew a little ICBM yesterday, day before yesterday, excuse me. What happened in the Japanese market? It was up on the day. What happened on the Kospi market? It was flat on the day. The two markets that are most exposed are not worried. Why? Because they knew it was a party trick. What happens is this Korean dictator wants to be the most talked about person in Palm Beach this weekend. That's why he flew that rocket. He is not coming after this. He is begging to be negotiated with. I'm not saying we should. That's what he's begging. That's why he's doing it. That's why he's starving
like
his
the last
people.
3 decades.
Yeah, but you can't dismiss this. The guy's got nukes, and he's got rockets that reach heaven knows
he has
where.
8 nukes that he cannot shoot further than the South China Sea. Let's not overreact. There is a trade we can do. If we go have a sophisticated conversation.